The narrative introduces us to Yum, a young man whose entire life has been profoundly shaped by the cinematic world. From the tender age of 9, he developed an insatiable passion for films. His older brother, recognizing and nurturing this obsession, placed him in a local video rental shop with a standing order. Yum could watch as many movies as he wanted, with the brother covering a monthly fee. Yum's childhood and formative years were thus spent immersed in countless stories, characters, and visual languages. In the present, he is a college student, still deeply entrenched in his hobby, watching a movie with his friends. His best friend Sejun teases him, wondering aloud if Yum's ultimate ambition is to simply run a rental shop. Sejun's girlfriend Yua playfully deflects, suggesting Yum will find his own path. However, the comment sparks a whimsical yet earnest revelation in Yum's mind. If he were to merely run a shop, the world of cinema itself would suffer a great loss. He interprets this as a calling and dramatically declares to his friends, "I will act now." This newfound resolve leads him to an audition, where he eagerly narrates his lifelong connection to film to a director. Asked to perform, Yum delivers a performance so theatrically poor and disconnected from reality that the director promptly shoos him away. As he leaves defeated, his eyes land on a young woman on set named Mubai. The name alone strikes a chord with him, impressing him deeply. The story then shifts to reveal Mubai's background through a flashback to her own childhood at age 9. When asked about her parents, she would flatly state they were dead, despite both being very much alive. Her anger was directed at her father, a film director perpetually absent due to work. In one poignant memory, he promises a trip to an amusement park to cheer her up, only to immediately cancel after a phone call from a production company, offering the hollow promise of time after this movie ends. Young Mubai saw through this cycle, predicting an endless string of films. This painful relationship culminated in her father's actual death when she was older. Contrary to expectations, she entered the film industry not to honor his legacy but for herself, forging her own complicated path. The next day, Yum, undeterred by his failed audition, returns to the set and boldly offers unsolicited advice to the director on how to frame a shot. An argument ensues over creative authority, ending with the director storming off. This spectacle draws Mubai's attention. Yum, seeing her, becomes determined to get to know her. His attempts are clumsy and persistent. At night, he lingers on set during a fight scene, not to act but to watch her. He finds her smoking alone and approaches, only for her to walk away. The following day, he invades her solitary lunch, asking why she eats alone. Her terse reply, "It's my choice," is undermined when others join them, forcing her to leave again. She internally criticizes him, noting how he seems to be a social magnet, constantly surrounded by people and gossip, concluding that being near him is inherently difficult. As she prepares to leave later, she overhears a conversation revealing the true reason Yum got his minor role. After being rejected, he had accidentally walked off wearing the director's prized limited edition shoes, and the role was essentially a ransom for their return. When Yum approaches to help her with her things, she rebuffs him sharply, explaining she dislikes when people force friendship and that not everyone shares his childish approach to social interaction, bluntly telling him to stay away. Yum processes this rejection by watching a movie with his brother, recounting his interest in the aloof Mubai. When his brother asks about his next move, Yum confidently states that his extensive viewing of romantic and comedy films has provided him with a blueprint for action. Meanwhile, Mubai tells her mother she's grateful she takes after her, not her father, as life would otherwise be exhausting. When her mother probes about the sudden mention of her dad, Mubai admits she met someone who painfully reminded her of him. Yum's campaign of attention continues. During a scene where his character is meant to die, he playfully sticks his leg out to trip Mubai as she passes. She quips that it's fortunate his character is about to die. He asks about her plans after the shoot, receiving a curt, "I am very busy." He later finds her isolated lunch spot, now occupied by him wearing bizarre clothing, claiming he has a twin brother and that the director needs him. A ruse immediately exposed when a crew member angrily accuses him of stealing his fake beard and drags him away. That night, as Mubai walks alone, Yum appears, offering her a ride home under the guise of concern for her safety. She reveals a stun gun, asserting her self-sufficiency. Their paths cross again at a wedding where Mubai is filming as a side gig. Yum, knowing the groom, is delighted by the coincidence. The next day, he even boards a shuttle bus to a remote shoot location where he has no business, just to sit with her. On the return trip, he misses the bus while buying roasted corn and ends up running after it alongside Mubai, who also missed it. They share the corn at a bus stop, and in a tentative conversation, Yum asks what kind of movie she would make. Her answer, a love story, is so unexpectedly sentimental that it causes him to choke on his corn, which she misinterprets as mockery. On the bus, he insists on sitting next to her despite empty seats, claiming a fear of sitting alone. As she sleeps, she has a nightmare and instinctively grabs his hand, jerking awake to apologize, a moment of unguarded vulnerability. Yum's pursuit continues as he follows her after she deals with an intrusive reporter asking if she entered filmmaking to fulfill her dead father's dream, a question she firmly denies. He finds her smoking afterward. When she questions why he, a social creature, is there alone, he replies that since she said to ask if she needed help, he has to stay close. This illogical earnestness makes her laugh for the first time. He points out the shift from rejection to laughter. She admits she finds it difficult to get close to people because one day everyone leaves. He challenges her perpetual pessimism. She counters his relentless pretense that everything is okay, stating she dislikes such people because they are the first to leave. He offers a vulnerable proposition. If he admits his flaws now, will she understand and not leave him? She doesn't answer. As he turns to go, she stops him and kisses him. A voiceover from Mubai then poetically notes that just as morning light dispels darkness, Yum, too, disappeared. A flashback to Mubai at 9 shows her fierce loyalty, beating up boys who bullied a sickly childhood friend named Jong. In the present, Yum's sudden vanishing act after the kiss leaves Mubai first heartbroken. Then furious, she resolves to forget him. The reason for his disappearance is revealed. His brother Jun was severely injured in an accident. Consumed by stress and financial struggles caring for his sibling, Yum withdrew from his old life, taking on various jobs before finding stable work as a film critic, a role that finally brought him financial stability and allowed him to dedicate himself to his brother's care. 5 years pass. In that time, Mubai has directed her first feature film. Yum, now a known critic, receives an invitation to the premiere. He attends, and during the Q&A session, he asks a question that leaves Mubai visibly shocked and flustered to see him. The narrative briefly introduces Sun, a bartender and musician still hung up on his ex, Yua, after 5 years. Mubai, at home with her mother, discusses the surreal feeling of being called a director and the immense responsibility it entails, feeling unable to articulate her emotions about her first film. Yum watches a movie with his now-recovered brother Jun, who senses a change in him, a loss of the open, carefree person he once was. Yum dismisses it as simple maturity. Mubai, for her part, confesses internally that all her attempts to forget Yum have failed since his return, and her anger has morphed into a burning need to know why he left. Yum and an older director attend a concert for a famed director, Chu. There, Mubai sees him. As Yum approaches, Mubai's colleague interrupts, excitedly reporting they found that fraud, revealing they were the ones who invited Yum. Mubai quickly ushers her colleague away. After the ensuing film screening, Yum follows Mubai. She initially walks away but stops to ask when he became a critic. He says since it paid well. She asks if he reviewed her movie. He says no. She questions why he came then, and he deflects, nodding she was looking at him too, and questions why she called him a fraud. She declares directors and critics are natural enemies. She then rapid-fires questions. Was he sick? Did someone die? Was he in jail? He denies all. Frustrated by his non-answers, she concludes she was just a passing distraction for him and storms off, telling him never to show his face again. The next day, cycling home, Mubai's mother mentions new neighbors. Mubai goes to greet them and is astounded to find Yum moving in across the street. She accuses him of stalking her. He explains his brother liked the house. Jun appears and Yum declares that since critics and directors are enemies, they shall now be just that, enemies. Thus begins a war of petty annoyances. Mubai sees Yum reading peacefully and is irritated. He distributes sweets to the entire neighborhood to cultivate a good image, pointedly skipping her house, which she waits for in vain, growing furious at the deliberate exclusion. On a bus, he sees her and immediately exits through another door, leaving her shocked at his masterful, effortless ability to annoy. While she jogs, he crisscrosses her path until she snaps at an innocent bystander, mistaking him for Yum. However, from Yum's perspective, these are not merely acts of spite but clumsy attempts to reconnect. He observes her kindness playing with children, helping the elderly, and is drawn to her genuine nature. One day, from her window, she sees him noticing her and walking toward her house. Panicked, she wonders what to do. The doorbell rings and she opens it to a boy who hugs her tightly. Yum, witnessing this from outside, is crestfallen. The boy is revealed to be her childhood friend Jong, now healthy after treatment in America. Their happy reunion contrasts with Yum's dejection. Yum's brother Jun pulls him into party preparations. While Yum struggles with outdoor lights, Jong appears, helpfully pointing out the location of the switch box. A tense exchange follows where each probes the other's connection to the neighborhood and to Mubai. Later, Yum confides in his brother about Mubai. Jun advises that if she is his past, he should forget her. But if he wants a future with her, he must apologize and make amends for the loneliness his disappearance caused. Mubai, meanwhile, checks online to see if Yum has reviewed her film. She discovers he has reviewed every recent movie except hers, fueling her anger. After the party, Yum and Jun clean up. Jun reveals he chose the house because of its large white wall, remembering Yum's childhood dream of projecting movies on one. Yum is touched but saddened, feeling his brother always sacrifices for him and urging him to do something for his own happiness. Jun insists he loves the place and they bond over a movie, their classic reconciliation method. Elsewhere, director Seong is anxious about an interview, worried because his recent films have flopped. Yum arrives as the interviewer and, despite the director's hope for a flattering piece, Yum states he will only write the truth. Mubai selects a script titled Melody for her next project and arranges a meeting with its writer. In a bar, Yua drinks alone, lamenting to the bartender about her isolation. No friends, family, only work. Mubai, sitting nearby, overhears and agrees. They strike up a conversation. Yua shares her story of heartbreak with Sejun and Mubai shares her own, falsely claiming to be a civil servant while Yua says she's a flight instructor. They exchange numbers but both immediately delete them upon leaving, a mutual pact for a one-night confessional. Later, Yum sees a drunken Mubai staggering home and follows to ensure her safety. A bystander reports him to the police. As officers confront him, Mubai turns and sees the commotion. Yum hides and tells the police he was merely going the same way, concerned for her well-being. Mubai, sobering up, goes to the station to get him released, citing drunken mistakes. At her doorstep, she confronts him, demanding an apology for his abandonment and his current silence. He finally offers a sincere "I'm sorry." Their conversation turns to his work. He admits he doesn't review every film. Yum suggests that as neighbors, they could at least exchange greetings. Mubai coldly rejects the notion, stating she'll be busy with her new film shoot and he can keep his greetings to himself. Mubai's meeting with the scriptwriter is a shock. It is Yua. Yua initially refuses, criticizing her own script. When Mubai steps out, she connects the dots, realizing the story Yua told her in the bar is the script. She confronts her and Yua admits it's autobiographically painful. Mubai insists on making it and Yua reluctantly agrees on the condition she can make revisions. Later, Mubai heads to an interview. Yum boards the same bus and gets off first. When she arrives at the office, he is already there. He is the interviewer. Post-interview, he asks why her name is Mubai, suggesting it implies a love of movies. She counters that she actually disliked movies, puzzling him. When he asks if she still doesn't like them, she clarifies that she must. Or why would she be a director? He seizes the moment to ask her to watch a movie with him as his form of apology. She sees through it, nice try, but no, and leaves. Undeterred, Yum begins projecting movies on his wall at night. The sound carries and Mubai finds herself on her terrace, secretly watching. Over subsequent days, Yum ingratiates himself with the neighborhood by doing all the good deeds Mubai does, playing with kids, helping elders, becoming a local saint to her immense irritation. On the anniversary of his parents' death, Yum visits the columbarium alone after Jun makes an excuse. His day is comically bad: spilled coffee, a malfunctioning shower, and finally, a breakdown in his car during rain due to faulty wipers. Miraculously, Mubai appears with an umbrella and fixes the wipers, surprising Yum with her practicality. Professionally, Yum's reviews are picked up by a major magazine. Mubai, during a jog, reads his blog entry about her and grudgingly admits it's not badly written. At work, she meets with Yua, who formally entrusts her with the deeply personal script. They discuss the film's crucial need for good music and Yua recommends a specific composer. At a screening for a popular director's new film, Yum spots Mubai and physically guides her to sit next to him. She complies quietly. Afterward, he asks her to dinner. She rebuffs him, stating their recent conversations don't grant him that privilege. He then receives an urgent message and leaves abruptly, which enjars her further. She feels he should have tried harder to persuade her. Yum confronts Jun about skipping hospital checkups, worried about his health. Jun resists, citing the financial burden of past treatments. Yum reassures him about money, insisting he complete his care. Frustratingly for Mubai, Yum seems to be everywhere. He appears on a TV show she's watching, earning praise from her mother. At her office, her colleague is browsing Yum's recommended movie list, which does not include her film, further irritating her. She turns on her computer, and an advertisement or pop-up featuring Yum appears on the screen, leading her to exclaim in disbelief at his seemingly omnipresent and inescapable influence in her life, blurring the lines between enemy territory and inescapable fate. Narrative weaves together the lives of its central characters, as their personal and professional worlds continue to intersect in increasingly complex ways. In the next scene, we find Sun at the bar with the owner, Mr. Song. Just like Mubai, Mr. Song is taken aback to see Yum appearing on television, commenting on the young man's seemingly ubiquitous presence these days. Sun, however, defends him, stating that Yum deserves all the recognition because he has worked tirelessly to achieve it. The conversation then turns to Yua, who has expressed a desire to work with Sun, specifically requesting his musical compositions for her film project. Mr. Song sees this as excellent news, but when he asks Sun for his thoughts, the musician reveals his conflicted feelings. He questions his own worth, sarcastically asking if Mr. Song thinks he is so incapable that he must now rely on the help of a former lover for work. Mr. Song chides him for his old habit of finding negativity in every opportunity and encourages him to try a more positive outlook. Meanwhile, Mubai is working late at her office preparing to leave for the night when Yua makes an unexpected visit. Startled, Mubai is put at ease when Yua produces drinks, suggesting they share a moment. As they sit and talk, Yua confides her struggles with Sun. She tried hard to convince him to collaborate, but he reacted with visible anger and walked away, leaving her unsure how to proceed. Mubai, ever pragmatic, asks what would happen if she, as the director, simply didn't like his music. Yua is adamant that such a scenario is impossible, declaring his music to be truly amazing. The conversation then turns personal. Yua inquires about the boy who was bothering Mubai, a reference to Yum. Mubai responds wryly that he is still draining her blood, a testament to his persistent, irritating presence. She is surprised Yua knows about him, to which Yua reminds her that Mubai shared the entire story during their drunken heart-to-heart. Later, in a taxi home, Mubai hears Yum's voice emanating from the radio. Intrigued despite herself, she instructs the driver to turn up the volume and listens intently to his words. Scene shifts to Yum and his friend Sun. Sun questions why Yum has suddenly taken on so much work, noting that he seems to be everywhere at once. Yum explains it's simply because the jobs pay well. Sun then voices his own frustrations, lamenting that while Yua is writing scripts and making a movie, and Yum is thriving, he feels left behind. Yum offers encouragement, assuring him that everyone gets their chance sooner or later, and he has full confidence that Sun will excel when his moment arrives. Trouble, however, brews for Yum professionally. He publishes a scathing review of a film by a famous, revered director named Chin. The critique is so harsh that news breaks that director Chin, in a state of despair, attempted suicide but was saved by his family. Yum is deeply shaken and worried by this outcome. That evening, director Seong takes Yum out for drinks to distract him and has also invited Mubai. She asks Yum if he is okay, and he puts on a brave face, claiming nothing is wrong. Their moment is interrupted by the arrival of another director, one whose film Yum had also panned in the past. This director confronts Yum aggressively, blaming him for director Chin's state and declaring that Yum would be responsible if anything fatal happened. Mubai, witnessing this, is furious. She pulls Yum aside, demanding to know why he listened to such accusations without defending himself, especially when he is already upset. Yum, however, maintains a stoic front. He questions why he should be upset, asserting he did nothing wrong. A film's failure is not the critic's fault, and he merely wrote an honest review. If someone chooses to harm themselves over a critique, he argues, it is a tragic personal response, not his culpability. He concludes that everyone faces difficult times. Mubai clarifies she wasn't blaming him but urges him to acknowledge that she and director Seong are there to support him. She sees through his facade, accusing him of being adept at hiding his pain but pleading with him not to ignore those who care. She reveals that her anger upon reuniting with him stemmed from this very trait, his tendency to become consumed by his own sorrows without considering their impact on others. Having said her piece, she leaves. Sun, closing the bar for the night, finds Yua waiting for him outside. At first he tries to leave, but he turns back and makes a declaration: he will work with her. This time he is ready to stake everything. When she asks what exactly he is putting at stake, he answers, his pride, because he never wanted to need help from the person he once loved. In an act of compassion, Mubai visits the hospitalized director Chin, bringing items from her mother. He is delighted to see her, remarking that she hasn't changed. He congratulates her on becoming a director and praises her film. Mubai gently asks about the suicide attempt linked to Yum's review. The director clarifies it wasn't like that. He had been drinking heavily, and due to pre-existing anxiety issues, accidentally took too many pills. As Mubai prepares to leave, he mentions a boy who keeps visiting despite being told he is fine and who is still sitting outside. Mubai exits to find Yum in the waiting area. When she asks what he's doing there, he replies cryptically that he is waiting for something good to happen. They talk until Mubai falls asleep. When she wakes, Yum is gone. She is about to leave when he reappears, lifting a blanket he went to fetch for her because it was getting cold. She chastises him for not waking her so she could go home, but he says he didn't think of it. As she prepares to depart, he stops her with a direct proposition. He wants to date her again. Mubai, remembering how she fell for him before only to be abandoned, is determined not to be trapped again. She kicks him hard, tells him not to think such foolish things, and leaves. The next day, Yum stares wistfully at Mubai's house from his window. His brother Jun teases him, asking if he's planning to rob the neighbors. Yum replies that there's something in that house that belongs to him. Jun immediately deduces he's talking about Mubai, joking that every child in the neighborhood probably knows about their tumultuous dynamic. Their conversation is cut short as they see Jung exiting Mubai's house. Yum grumbles about his frequent visits. Inside, Mubai asks her mother where Jong is. Lying on the couch, she internally confesses she couldn't sleep all night, tormented by Yum's words and her inability to forget them. Outside, Jong is stretching when Yum confronts him, grabbing him and telling him to stay away from Mubai's house, offering himself as a friend instead. Jong points out that Yum has been antagonistic since his arrival, and deduces it's because of Mubai, bluntly stating Yum is not her type. Mubai then calls Jong in for breakfast, and he teases Yum before leaving. Sun, now reading Yua's script, becomes upset. Yua visits Mubai, who internally wonders if she's there to cause more trouble. Yua, who can read lips, calls her out and says she came with important news. Sun has agreed to do the music. Mubai reiterates that the final decision is still hers, but Yua is confident she won't refuse once she hears his amazing compositions. In another interaction, Mubai helps Jong when his walking stick gets stuck. He praises her mother's kindness, which Mubai downplays. She notes that his brother Yum is not nice like him but is rather careless. Jong disagrees, saying his brother is the opposite, excessively responsible, and that this trait is a source of worry for him. One night, a drunken Yum tries to call Mubai but stops himself. When he finally tries, he finds his number is still blocked. The next morning, he wakes up confused, wearing an unfamiliar sweater. Jun informs him it belongs to Mubai and recounts the previous night's embarrassing events. Yum, in his inebriated state, climbed the gate of Mubai's house, yelling for her to unblock his number. When she came out and told him to leave, he grabbed her, causing her to leave her sweater behind as she fled. Yum then passed out and Jun had to drag him inside. The doorbell rings, it's Mubai to retrieve her sweater. Yum returns it and she warns him that if he causes another scene, she will go to the police. At the music studio, Sun finds the door open and his keys missing. Yua is inside. He demands to know what she's doing there. Yum also arrives. Yua explains she sent a message, but perhaps he blocked her number and she came for work. When pressed, she explains that for this film, the music is a crucial character that must be presented perfectly. Sun claims he understands the script and will create something special. Yua insists she needs to be involved to provide inspiration. An argument erupts, with Sun feeling undermined when Yua mentions the director could still refuse the music. He angrily declares he won't work with her. Yum, looking at the script and seeing Mubai's name as the director, intervenes. He tells Sun he must take this job, pointing out that he doesn't have a line of projects waiting and that this is a prime opportunity he shouldn't let pride ruin. Sun leaves in a huff. Jong shares his past with Yum and Jun, explaining his childhood illness and social isolation, and how Mubai was his only constant friend. Yum tells Jong he's lucky to have them now and must repay the favor. Jong reveals he has a plan to help Yum with Mubai but hesitates to share it. After some comical physical coercion, Jong relents. He explains that Mubai's late father used to organize an annual outdoor film festival in their area. One of his old friends, learning Mubai is now a director, has asked her mother to convince Mubai to help with the revived event. Jong suggests this is the perfect setting for Yum to spend quality, uninterrupted time with her. Mubai is indeed contemplating whether to attend the festival. The next day, she arrives to help with preparations. Her father's friends thank her, reminiscing about her father's love for the event. As they speak, Yum walks by holding a banner. Mubai is shocked to see him. He casually states he's part of the staff. While tying a banner to a tree together, they bicker about the height. Yum argues it should be high for visibility. Mubai hits him and tells him not to be a know-it-all. That evening, Mubai, her mother, and Jong attend the screening. Jong strategically guides Mubai's mother to sit near Jun, and Mubai reluctantly joins them. Mubai's mother is impressed with Jun's cooking, and he modestly says he learned out of necessity over time. During the film, Yum watches alone. Mubai comes and sits beside him, observing his intense concentration, which painfully reminds her of her father. She notes he's seen this movie before and questions his focus. Yum says he never tires of it. It brings him joy every time. This triggers a painful memory for Mubai. Her father would always leave her for work, making her feel unloved and leading her to vow never to expect anything from anyone again. As she gets up to leave, Yum stops her. Elsewhere, Sun encounters a drunken Yua outside the bar. As he tries to assist her, she begins questioning him. He admits he thought she might still feel the same way he does. As he turns to leave, she hits him with her purse and bursts into tears. He retrieves her purse, and when she asks why he's helping, he says he was just angry. She threatens to never see him again, but he stops her, pointing out that she ended their relationship and now returned, both on her own terms. He asks for a chance to understand. Yua apologizes, saying so much time has passed he must have forgotten her. Sun disagrees, stating they broke up precisely because they didn't fully know each other. Back at the festival, Mubai is standing in the way of other viewers and is asked to move. She walks away and Yum follows, stopping her. She accuses him of making fun of her, recounting how he gave her hope, made her love him, and then vanished. Yum seizes on her admission of love, turning the tables. He says he should be the one complaining. She confessed first, she kissed him. He just wanted her to understand his feelings. He declares, "I really like you," and this time he takes the initiative, hugging her. Later, they are seen sitting together, sharing food with Yum attentively serving her. Mubai's mother watches happily, hoping this will finally work out for her daughter. As another movie starts, Yum brings juice to Jong and asks him to call Mubai. Jong says she left her phone behind. Yum picks it up and dials his own number, elated to see she has unblocked him. Mubai, lost in thought while eating candy, is questioned by her mother. She asked why her mother pursued a relationship with a man so obsessed with movies, knowing life would be difficult. Her mother reveals a secret: it was she who chased after Mubai's father, not the other way around. She refuses to elaborate, calling it her secret. She then advises Mubai that if she likes Yum, she should date him or risk future regret. Mubai dismissively says she'll see, claiming she's not a child. Yum visits director Seong's office. The director explains he was at a funeral for a young crew member who died after fainting on set. They discuss how Mubai's father died similarly young, and how such tragedies always bring up his name, making them wonder what Mubai endures. Disturbed, Yum leaves and calls Mubai from outside a pizza restaurant. He asks if she likes pizza, and when she says yes, simply gives her the location and hangs up. Yua is with Mubai and guesses who called. Mubai deflects, asking why Yua is there. Yua asks a philosophical question about how much time someone needs when they ask for it. Mubai refuses to be drawn into Yua's personal drama. She then presses Yua about meeting the songwriter, sensing a fight when Yua mentions he asked for time. Yum waits at the restaurant, nervously drinking Coke after Coke until a waitress prods him to order. He asks for a pizza to go, but just then, Mubai arrives. She orders her favorite pizza and declares they will eat there. The next day, Yum is cooking when Mubai cycles past. He stops her and ushers her inside for lunch. On another day, as Mubai leaves for work under clear skies, Yum inexplicably gives her an umbrella. Her confusion turns to understanding when it rains that evening and the umbrella proves useful. Their chance meetings continue. He waits for her outside shops with beer and noodles. They watch movies together. Yum orchestrates these encounters while pretending they are mere fate. One night, walking home from the bus stop, Mubai asks when they will meet by fate again. Yum, playing along, suggests perhaps the next evening at 6 in front of the shop. Mubai smiles. Later, Yum sends her a text detailing his mundane evening routine, signing off with "Don't you worry." Mubai smiles again before sleeping. Sun is in the studio recording a song with a female colleague, Yurim. Afterward, they go for coffee. The studio door, which is faulty, gets stuck as they leave, prompting Yurim to warn him to fix it. At the cafe, Yu arrives, sees them, and tries to slip away unnoticed, but Sun calls her over. While he takes a phone call, Yurim speaks to Yua, revealing that Sun talks about her constantly. Her name is the one he always mentions. When Sun returns, Yurim leaves. Yua insists on hearing the songs for the film, stating the director wants to meet him, but she wants to preview them first. Sun takes her to the studio, plays the tracks, and explains them. Yua suggests a male voice would be better. When Sun resists singing himself, she forces him into the booth. He attempts to lip-sync, but Yua discovers the ruse by entering the booth and not hearing his voice. Flustered, Sun tells her to leave. As she tries to exit, the faulty door jams again, trapping them both inside. In the confined, anxious space, their guard drops. Yua admits she liked him first and wrote their story with the girl proposing because of that. Sun counters that he liked her first and that's why he proposed. Yua reveals she chose her school to be near him. Sun is stunned, asking since when she had feelings. Their intimate confession is interrupted by Yum's arrival. Hearing their calls, he frees them. As a repairman fixes the door, Yum jokes about what they were doing inside. Yua tells Sun to prepare his songs as she will bring Mubai tomorrow. Yum insists on coming too, wanting to hear his friend's work. Yua tells him to go focus on his own romance elsewhere. Yum leaves to buy flowers for Mubai on his way to their meeting. En route, he sees his brother Jun wandering carelessly across the road. In a panic, Yum runs, grabs him, and takes him home. There he confronts Jun, accusing him of not wanting to live, recalling his calm demeanor during the accident and his current pretense that nothing is wrong. Jun remains silent. Distraught, Yum leaves his bag and storms out. Mubai, having waited for him in vain, returns home and later scolds him for not showing up. The next morning, Yum wakes to find Jun sleeping beside him. Jun explains he couldn't sleep alone, reminiscing about how Yum used to sleep with him as a child, even wetting the bed out of fear, a claim Yum denies, hitting him with a pillow. Their brotherly squabble is interrupted by Jong, who arrives with potatoes and joins them for the breakfast Yum has prepared. Yum is contemplating how to apologize to Mubai when the doorbell rings again. It is Mubai herself. She asks if he's busy and, citing Jong's unavailability, invites him to accompany her on an errand. Yum eagerly agrees, grabbing his bag. As they set off, Mubai begins walking, but Yum suggests taking his car instead, nodding its comfort and even opening the sunroof, marking the beginning of another shared journey. The narrative threads continue to intertwine, delving deeper into grief, love, and the pursuit of dreams. In the subsequent scene, Jong, attempting to engage with a film, asks Jun what kind of movie it is, only to find Jun asleep. Concerned, Jong notes that Jun doesn't look well. Jun dismisses it as mere tiredness, but Jong helps him to his room, where Jun appears even sicker. Meanwhile, Mubai and Yum are driving together. Yum offers an apology for missing their meeting the previous day, citing important work. Mubai, who had indeed waited for him, feigns ignorance, asking what he's talking about. When Yum reminds her of their planned meeting and assumes she was waiting, she coolly claims she never even went. Their journey is then interrupted as Yum's car breaks down, stranding them on a remote road as darkness falls. Mubai laments they should have taken her car. Yum suggests returning the next day, but Mubai insists she's too busy. He points out the irony: they ostensibly came for work, yet Jong, whom she claimed was busy, was actually having breakfast at their house. This, he concludes, means their outing was merely a pretext to spend time together. He notes, with a touch of triumph, that for the first time she actively thought about the two of us. Seizing the intimate moment, Mubai asks the question that has haunted her. 5 years ago, when he disappeared, was the reason his brother? She observes that he constantly talks about Jun, but the person he describes seems entirely different, which led to her deduction. Yum responds that if she had already understood, why did it take her so long to ask? She admits her aversion to letting people get close and to knowing too much about them. When he asks why now, she confesses that maybe she wants to know him and confront her own confusions. In this vulnerable space, she finally voices her love for him, and he embraces her in response. Later, Mubai and Yua are in Sun's studio, listening to his compositions. Mubai is visibly impressed and enjoys the music. The next morning, as Mubai leaves home unusually early, her mother comments on her changed routine, noting that when she's genuinely busy, she looks downcast, but these days she appears remarkably happy. Mubai deflects the teasing about her face. Her mother directly asks if she's dating someone, which Mubai flatly denies. Her mother presses, saying there's nothing to hide. Mubai retorts with a humorous rule: when dating and your parents ask, you must flatly deny it, or else a courtroom of interrogations begins. As she leaves, her mother fondly calls her sensible. Outside, Mubai finds Yum lost in thought on his lawn. When he sees her, he immediately comes over and hugs her tightly. Concerned, she asks if there's a problem. He simply says he's tired. As she prepares to go, he comments on her early departure, hoping she wanted to spend time with him. She challenges him: if you know, then what are you waiting for? Come on. At her office, Yum calls her. She looks around cautiously, sees an employee with headphones on, and answers, speaking to him with unexpected tenderness. Unbeknownst to her, Yua is present and overhears the entire loving exchange. When Mubai spots Yua, she abruptly ends the call. Yua questions why she hung up upon seeing her. Mubai avoids answering and steers the conversation to work, suggesting they review the script. As they sit, Yua stares intently while Mubai reads. Mubai remarks that the script has improved significantly. Yua, however, says she can smell something, the smell of love, and demands to know what's happening. Mubai insists they aren't close enough for such confidences. Yua directly asks if she's dating, and when Mubai denies it, Yua proposes a bet of a large sum. Mubai agrees, but Yua remains suspicious. Mubai tells her to focus and later mentions she's meeting Sun that day to decide the main soundtrack. Yua probes for details, and Mubai turns the tables, saying she smells a dead love awakening. At Yum's house, Jun wakes up and finds Jong waiting outside. Jong remarks on his long sleep. Jun asks for Yum, and Jong says he went to the market, leaving him in charge. Suddenly, Jun feels dizzy. Jong catches him and helps him to a chair, drawing from his own experience with chronic illness to express genuine concern. A flashback reveals Jun at the doctor, being told his condition requires immediate treatment or could be fatal. Yet Jun tells Jong he's perfectly fine, blaming the dizziness on oversleeping. In a meeting, Mubai expresses great satisfaction with Sun's work for the film. Sun then asks if scriptwriters typically live in her office, gesturing to Yua sitting outside. Mubai explains they had a script reading and Yua has been there since, joking that perhaps she has no home or is waiting for someone. As Sun prepares to leave, Mubai suggests he take Yua with him, citing their past friendship. Sun is taken aback that she knows. He comments on the strange situations lately, referencing Yum and Mubai's dynamic. Mubai confirms Yum told him and pleads with him not to tell Yua about their relationship, or she'll eat my head off. Sun says that won't be necessary now, and Mubai turns to see Yua standing there, having heard everything. Mubai quietly tells Yua she'll get her bet money. In a bold move, Yum visits Mubai's mother, declaring that her daughter is his girlfriend. Her mother says Mubai told her no such thing that very morning. Yum clarifies they've only been dating for 2 weeks. Her mother warns him that dating Mubai isn't easy. She looks innocent but is. She then asks about his weakness. Yum says he overthinks. His mother dismisses that as not a weakness, but he explains he doesn't know what to do with the thoughts. As he helps with food, she advises him to share his thoughts. Perhaps someone can offer a solution that will bring him peace. Sun is smoking when Yua approaches. She comments that she doesn't understand the pairing of Yum, a critic, and Mubai, a director. Sun tries to deflect, asking if she doesn't have somewhere to be. Yua says she's there to have dinner together. Sun claims they aren't close enough for that. Undeterred, Yua takes him to a restaurant where they sit side by side, both ordering noodles. Sun is surprised, recalling she always used to order rice balls. Yua insists she always liked noodles. Sun finishes his meal quickly. Yua tells him he can leave as it takes her time to eat hot food. She reveals that she used to get rice balls so they could finish together. Hurt, Sun says if she had told him, he would have waited. He's not unreasonable. He asks if there were other such sacrifices. Yua admits she never liked sci-fi movies, which were his favorite. Sun is upset she's only telling him now, making it seem she was always bending for him. Yua says that was her way of loving, foolishly doing everything his way. He asks the pivotal question, if she loved him so much, why did she vanish overnight? Yua says those are old matters and asks if anything is left between them now. Sun throws the question back, what does she want to hear? Yum is at home when Jong informs him Jun wants to eat out, frustrating Yum, who just bought groceries. They go out. On her way home, Mubai encounters Yum, who chides her for walking alone at night. She says she has no one to walk with. He points out she doesn't even have friends, and she retorts that she had one Jong and they took him away too. Yum says she doesn't need that useless person when he's there to take care of her. Jun invites Mubai to join them for dinner, and she accepts. The next day, Jun asks Yum if he's busy and suggests a drive. Happy to spend time with his brother, Yum agrees. They pick up Sun for a basketball game. That night, they hang out with Yua and the bar owner at Sun's bar, then watch a movie at Yum's house. Yum feels a sense of foreboding but is happy for his brother's engaged mood. Mubai returns from a location scout and calls Yum, devastated that the perfect site is now ruined with the river dried up. Yum suggests locations from a film called My Girl. Nodding, the protagonist reminds him of her, Friendless, who befriended a sick boy. Mubai playfully threatens him. Yum wishes he could have been with her. She tells him to take care of his brother and asks if he took him to the hospital. Yum says yes, and she praises him, acknowledging how hard caregiving is. Yum admits he sometimes bothers Jun when he's sleeping. Mubai says even good people need to vent in tough times. Yum says he has no one for that. She offers herself, saying she'll take notes and settle the score later. Yum jokes it feels like taking a loan. She tells him to go inside before mosquitoes get him. Inside, Yum massages Jun's feet. Jun suggests a trip. Yum says to get well first. Jun insists he's fine and has picked 2 places for a flight next month. Yum is bewildered by this uncharacteristic behavior, inviting people over, planning trips. Jun says he couldn't do it before and now wants to. Yum urges him to take it slow, asking why the hurry and if he's talking as if he's going somewhere. Jun says he's preparing for the unexpected. Yum confronts him. Are you thinking about your death? He says he won't accept that because he still has to live with him. Jun says death can come anytime. Yum finally understands. You're doing all this so I won't be sad after your death, regretting that you didn't live your life. Jun apologizes for making it so difficult. Yum, upset, drops a cup of tea, scalding his hand. Jun tends to the burn. Yum asks bitterly if Jun ever truly wanted to live. He then says, now do whatever you want. Roam if you want, die if you want. I won't stop you anymore, and walks out into the rain. Mubai, driving home, sees Yum drenched on the road and takes him in her car. The narrative then shows the aftermath of Jun's eventual passing. Yum locks himself away for days. When he finally emerges, he's packing Jun's belongings. Jong shows him Jun's diary, which he was keeping. Yum takes it and reads. The final entry reads, I want to start my life again. Yum breaks down in tears. Mubai watches Yum from her balcony, worried about his profound grief. Yum, getting his car washed, ignores messages from director Seong and Yua checking on him, cynically wondering why everyone suddenly cares so much. Seeing Yum returning to some routine, Mubai feels relieved. She makes a habit of walking with him daily. During one walk home, Yum is distant. Mubai says, look at me. When he asks why, she says she gave him a signal. He smiles and hugs her. Yum visits director Seong's office. The director asks why he's there. Yum says he came aimlessly, just as the director sometimes does. The director says instead of insulting him, Yum could have just cursed him. Yum says he made a flop film and it's sad to see him like this. The director notes it's strange for Yum to leave his own troubles to console him. He shares a truth about grief. It often hits not immediately but later, in moments of need when the person is absent. Yum admits he came to tease him but failed. The director asks his plans. Yum says he's going to throw a grand retirement party for him. The director gets irritated, saying one flop won't make him retire and suggests playing a game instead. Mubai watches Yum's house from her gate. Jong says Yum is acting strangely, outwardly fine, inwardly shattered. Mubai suggests he needs more time. Jong asks if it took her this long after her father's death. Mubai says she had no one to share her feelings with, and perhaps Yum feels the same. Jong gets emotional, hugging her and apologizing for not being there when she needed him. He then says Yum hasn't come home. Mubai sends Jong away and waits for Yum herself, who is at a store. Sun sits alone in his closed bar. Yu arrives. He says it's closed, but she says she's not there to fight, just feeling lonely. He lets her in and gives her a drink. She asks about Yum. Sun says he hasn't spoken to him. Yua tells him he doesn't know how to express feelings. He should just go to Yum as they understand each other without words. As Sun presses a pressure point on his hand, Yua takes his hand, diagnosing his hidden stress and constipation. She says he shows everything's fine outside, but it's not. Sun pulls away, saying it's not necessary. Yua challenges his stubbornness, saying he won't die from saying a few loving words. Sun says his way of speaking is harsh, so he stays quiet. The truth doesn't show in his words. Yua says she understands him anyway. Sun pours her a drink from a reserved bottle. Yua objects, but Sun says no one will claim it. A couple wrote their names on it 5 years ago and never returned. Yua insists they shouldn't drink it, betting someone will come tomorrow. Sun accepts the bet. Mubai falls asleep at her desk, wakes, and checks her phone to a message from Yum saying he's home and asking if she's asleep. She sees his lights are off and assumes he's sleeping. In the morning, she finds him sitting in his car, which is filled with pillows and belongings, revealing he hasn't been home for days. She asks why he's doing this. Yum says the house feels deserted with no one there. He promises to go home and clean that day. That night, Mubai returns to find his house lights on, but Yum is back in the car. He says he tried but couldn't stay inside. Mubai proposes, "Let's go home together tomorrow." He agrees. The next morning, as Yum heads home, Mubai arrives with her things, announcing she'll stay with him for a few days. When he asks what she told her mother, Mubai admits she lied, saying she'd be at the office. Yum is shocked she lied to her mother. Mubai says a small lie is acceptable in a mother-daughter relationship. She instructs him to clean the house while she goes to work, promising to have his handmade noodles for dinner. At the bar, a couple arrives asking for the 5-year-old reserved bottle with their names on it. Sun is stunned. The bar owner confirms their story and gives them the bottle. Sun realizes he lost the bet with Yua. Taking out the trash, he contemplates messaging her, typing and deleting several times before finally sending, "I made a new song." Returning from work, Mubai finds Yum's house dark and his car empty. Alarmed, she searches the house, calling his name. Yum appears with a candle, explaining the utilities were cut off due to late payment. Overwhelmed with worry, Mubai cries and hugs him. Sun finds Yua waiting for him. She says he messaged about a new song, so she came to hear it, just like old times when she was the first to hear his music. Moved, Sun asks the direct question, "Is everything over between us, or do you want to come back?" Sun begins leaving care packages for Yum, secretly placing them in his car. One day, he finds the car reeking of old food and cleans it. Yum catches him and asks what he's doing. Sun scolds him for the mess and for sleeping in the car. Yum says Mubai saw him, so now he has to sleep at home. Sun tries to say something comforting, but Yum brushes it off, suggesting they go somewhere else. Sun later confesses to Yua that he tried to hide it but can't. He still loves her as much as he did 5 years ago. He proposes they go on 3 dates, after which she can decide what to do. The next morning, Mubai leaves for work, telling Yum she has a meeting with a producer and might be late. As she leaves, her mother sees them together but says nothing. Yum assures Mubai her mother likes him. Mubai worries that like will turn to dislike and tells him not to wait for her that night. Sun prepares for his first date with Yua. When he meets her, she seems hesitant, but he takes her hand. They go to eat. Meanwhile, Yum is cleaning the house, confronting Jun's belongings. Jong, sitting in Jun's wheelchair, asks why he's throwing things away. Yum says he has to do it eventually. Jong points out he's kept his own books and cassettes, urging him not to rush. He advises Yum to grieve fully, but then pull himself together for his own sake and Mubai. Yum thanks him, and when Jong tries to hug him, Yum dodges playfully, leading to a chase. At her office, Mubai receives devastating news. The producers are canceling the film due to budget constraints. Dejected, she sits at a bus stop, ignoring a call from the producer. At home, her mother asks if she's planning to stay there tonight. Mubai apologizes and explains she was with Yum because he was lonely. Her mother notices her long face. Mubai admits the film is canceled and the project must shut down. Her mother is disappointed she's giving up so easily. Mubai says she won't make the same mistake as her father. This enjars her mother, who defends her late husband, saying he wasn't a fool. Mubai calls her father selfish for neglecting the family for unfinished films. Her mother asks if she still hates him so much. Mubai retorts, "Did he ever care about me?" and storms to her room. Later, she watches her father's old films in his study, finding them as boring as ever. Seeking guidance, Mubai visits director Seong. He asks if she's there to complain about Yum or seek advice. She mentions his own film flopping. He jokes if she's mocking him, but she says her film was shut down. He differentiates their situations. He's made many films, this is only her second. Some stories, he says, are special and need the right time to be told. Yua finds Sun and tells him about Mubai's film. She vows to find another financier. Sun, disillusioned, says it's not the first time his work has been ruined and suggests they focus on their second date instead. Yum, sitting outside on Jun's chair, gets a call from director Seong urging him to be with Mubai. Shocked, Yum tries to call her, but she doesn't answer. Meanwhile, Sun and Yu are walking. Yu expresses confidence in their film and wants to hear his music again. At the studio, Sun plays a song but stops midway, saying he's tired of it all and wants to quit. Yu tries to motivate him. This sparks Sun's anger. He accuses her of fake praise and says he only reached this far because of her. Yu leaves angrily, and Sun goes after her. Mubai, asleep in her office, wakes and steps outside to find Yum waiting. He says he told her to call when she needed help, but how could he hear if he wasn't nearby? They hug and sit in his car. Elsewhere, Sun finds Yua and they argue fiercely, each accusing the other of selfishness and living in the past. Their fight is raw and emotional. In the car, Mubai and Yum listen to music. She asks if he's worried about her cancelled film. He says he isn't, he feels she'll move on. He suggests she could make something other than a romance. Mubai confesses she wanted to make a sweet love story because she was searching for that love herself. She makes him promise not to leave her and reveals a deep-seated guilt. She feels responsible for her father's death. Yum comforts her, saying no matter how long the tunnel, there's light at the end. He shares a flashback of his own lonely childhood, where movies were his light. Then Mubai entered his life and brought him peace. Mubai explains her conflicted feelings about her father. She wanted his love and time, never his death. They stop at a beautiful spot and talk. Mubai wants to stay until morning. Yum jokes that her mother would kill him. Mubai finds fun in their wreck of a car. Yum defends the car, saying movies feature cars like his. When she asks why he loves movies so much, he says they were initially an escape from loneliness and later a cherished activity with his brother. At the bar, Sun cleans early. The owner is surprised. Sun says he was bored at home. The owner probes and Sun asks how his past relationship with Yua seemed. The owner says they were an amazing pair and Sun was always talking about her. Sun asks what makes love complete. The owner says love is complete in itself. If it's true, nothing else is needed. Sun understands what he must do. Yum visits Mubai's mother with an abundance of flowers and plants. She calls him crazy, asking who will plant them all. He starts planting anyway. She asks if he still overthinks. He says he's trying to change. She advises him to speak his mind as conversation fosters more conversation. Yum asks what to do when there's no one to talk to. She says presence isn't just physical. She wanted Mubai to date a normal person, but she found someone just like herself. Mubai is eating when Yum sends a photo of the planted flowers, claiming her mother likes him again. That night, her mother finds Mubai admiring the plants and asks if Yum planted them well. Mubai calls him cute. Her mother disagrees but admits he's a good person. Mubai asks what her father was like. Her mother describes him as deeply sad his whole life but says he chased his dreams so Mubai would learn not to give up. She tells Mubai she's just like him, sweet and kind, which shows in her work, and that's why she only watches her films. Later, Mubai is startled by Yua outside, who shouts at her not to be a coward and give up. They go to Sun's studio. Sun says he started this project with Yua to end things and fulfill a dream. He gives his music to Mubai. She listens, loves it, and decides to fight for the film again, vowing to find a financier. Yum, folding clothes in Jun's room, finds a cigarette in a pocket. He goes outside to smoke it but can't. In a vision, Jun appears and smokes with him. Yum laments not catching him smoking before. Jun says there's much Yum didn't know. Yum asks him to visit his dreams so they can hang out. He starts crying. Jun says he doesn't even call him when he cries now. Yum says calling 1,000,000 times won't bring him back, so he doesn't. He hugs the vision of his brother, crying and promising to live well, before falling asleep. Mubai sits dejected at a bus stop. Yum brings her roasted corn and asks about her mood. She says she boasted about finding a financier but has no idea how. Yum offers money from selling his cassette collection, though Mubai scoffs at the small amount. He insists every bit helps. Mubai says she rewatched her father's film. It's still boring, but his truth is visible. She didn't understand his message before, so she needs to watch more films to find her own way. Yum then reveals a major decision. He's quitting his job as a film critic because he no longer enjoys watching movies. A few months later, Yum gives a job interview. It goes poorly and he tears up his CV afterward. However, the tide has turned for their friends. Mubai's film is a hit, praised for its artistry, and Sun's music for it has made him a star. Yum returns home to find Jong acting as his self-appointed roommate. Mubai and her mother arrive for a celebration. Her mother asks about the interview. Yum confidently says he'll get the job and offers to work at her shop if she needs help. She tells him to focus on his own career. Director Seong also arrives. He was the secret financier for Mubai's film. The group celebrates. In a final reflection, Mubai notes that Yum doesn't watch films like he used to, but he says the only film of his life is Kim Mubai. He still occasionally visits her set to annoy her. With this blend of professional triumph, personal healing, and enduring, quirky love, the story draws to a close.